So this is for this data, another data reduction techniques. This is called linear discriminant analysis. This is very important and more powerful techniques. And from this discriminant analysis, so you'll get another important statistical measures. Is called the Fisher discriminant ratio, FDR. Okay, so the FDR in many places FDR is used for, it can be used as a feature selection technique. Okay, so this FDR can be I mean motivated for this linear discriminant analysis. So we'll see that the objective of LD is to perform this dimensionality reduction same as we have seen for PCA. And however, so in PCA that we did not consider for the class discriminatory information. Okay, but here also important things in LD is that you want to preserve as much as class discriminatory information as possible. Okay, so it means that this one question comes to your mind. So what is the difference between PCA and LDA? Okay, so now PCA and LDA both will do the same job, like that LDA reduces the dimensions. It constructs new features which are the linear combination of original features. It uses this concept of eigen decompositions. Okay, and obviously it offers compressions, and it will show the better visibility. I mean better visualizations and efficiency. So both the these properties will hold PCA and LDA, but there is a distinctions. One important distinction between PCA and LDA is that PCA is unsupervised. As I already told you, PCA is unsupervised, and it does not consider any class level. Okay, and it finds components among maximum variability of the data. So maximum variability means maximum variance. Okay, it finds the component along maximum variability of the data. I mean reduction with the maximum variance. On the other hand, LDA is supervised. Okay, LDA is supervised, and it considers this class level and finds the components which separates the class most. Okay, so it is not only reduces the dimensions, but also it will just have this discriminatory power of the classes. I mean it can separate out these two classes. Okay, so that is called the supervised, and it considers the class level and finds component. I mean components means after applying the deductions, it will have the component which separates between the two classes. So that is the difference between this PCA and LDA. Okay, and also this PCA component axis it maximizes the variance, and on the other hand LDA it will maximize the component axis for the class separability. So these things that you are seeing here. So this is a principal component. Compute this principal component, and means these are the process that we have already seen in the last classes. That how do you find these eigenvalues and eigenvector from the code. Now the basis vector are those eigenvectors which is having the highest eigenvalues, and this number of those vectors is our choice. Now using this new basis vector, you can project the data set onto a less dimensional space with more powerful data representations that we have already seen here. Now this LDA, how the LDA can be defined. So our basic distinctions that you already understood, that is it will not only reduce the dimensions, but also it will have this class discriminatory ability. I mean it can separate the classes most. Suppose consider a pattern class problem. Okay, and where suppose you have C classes like C, Bas, Tuna, Salman. Okay, and each class has m dimensional samples. Okay, so each class has ni samples where I is from I is equal to 1 to n, means n1 sample uh, it belongs to w1, n2 samples it belongs to w2. If you I mean see this type of classes, or if you have the classes is wi, then n1 sample are coming into samples w2, and for each samples we'll have the d dimensional samples that you can have. Now hence you have a set of m dimensional samples, so you have the samples from x1 x2 till xni, which belongs to the class I. Okay, or you can simply write this is an x1 x2 and xm. It is also acceptable. Now what you have to do, you'll have to stacking, so you'll have to aggregate these samples from the different classes. Okay, and you have to make a one big fat matrix. So this big fat matrix is called the capital X, such that each column represent one sample. Okay, now next is that you need to the same process that we will follow, that is a transformation. So now you have a x, then you have y will be a function of x, or you will have y is equal to some you need to do the projections from the original samples into a projected one. Okay, suppose x y is equal to w transpose into x. So these are the things that you have to do. Okay, now you seek to obtain transformation of x to y through projecting the sample of x into the hyperplane, and from the hyperplane with dimension will be c minus 1. So maximum this c minus 1, I mean directions that you can get, because in this cth samples it is uniquely identified. So that's why you need to have that you can project the transformations, or you need to project the samples, original samples, into a hyperplane, or projecting the samples onto a hyperplane where with dimension is c minus 1. Now these are the basic things. Now we'll see how you can proceed it. So now please, this is very interesting graph that you can find. That suppose we are considering these two samples x1 and, or sorry, we are if you have the two classes. Okay, and we are considering that is the two samples, that is x1 and x2, two features that if you have, and these two classes are not in the first one that you can see from the 2D. These data are projected. Actually this actual data which is there here in the red and blue, so it is in 2D. Okay, now so one samples, the blue samples are coming from the class 1 and the red samples are coming from the class 2. Okay, you can think of it, and what you have to do, so you have to have a one dimensions or one directions, and on the directions you need to project your actual data onto the projected new dimensions, so that from the 2D you are going to have the 1D. From the 2D dimensions you are going to have the 1D, because as a c minus 1 hyperplane, okay, that you have. So now if you just project it, the actual data into the projected plane, that as you can see, so there is the dimension is reduced, but you as LDA will preserve the class discriminatory information. So as you can see that this in the corner reds, if you plot it onto this line, so this line is already passing through origin, and its slope will be kind of 35-degree. Okay, angle. Then these few red lines are separated from the blue lines, but so there is a few overlapping as there. So now if I choose that directions, and if I'm going to project all the values onto that direction, so I'll not have good separability. Okay, because these two classes cannot be distinctly identified based on the samples one. Now whereas on the other hand, if I choose that directions, okay, I mean this line, it succeeded in separating the two classes, and in the meantime, so it will also reduce the dimensionality of our problem from the two features x1 x2, and you are going to have only one scalar. So from the 2D you are going to have the 1D. So these are the things. So you have c minus 1 dimension hyperplane. From the hyperplane, you'll have to choose only that hyperplane which is reducing the dimension, as well as it will preserve the class discriminatory information. So that is more important thing. But in PCA, we did not take care of it. But in LDA, you'll have to take care this dimensionality reduction, as well as you have to take care of this discriminatory information. So mathematically, how do you represent it? That assume that you have this m dimensional samples, okay, x1, x2 till xm, and n1 that I already told you, n1 belongs to w1 because n1 samples, and w1 and n2 will be from w2. Now you'd like to seek to obtain a scalar value by projecting the entire samples x, which is in 2D, onto a hyperplane. So on one subspace. So actually it is to be considered from the subspace. So subspace means in the lower dimensional space. C minus 1 space, that is C is equal to 2 here. Okay, then you will have that is kind of C minus 1. This is 2 minus 1. This is a 1. It is a single dimension. Now the transformation matrix will be y is equal to y transpose x, where x is x1 to xm. It is in column vector, and your w is w1 to wm. Okay, and you have all possible lines. Now you would like to select only one which minimizes this, which maximizes. That is very, very important. You have to have the maximizes this class separability. So here we will be emphasizing on two important things in LDA. What is the main goal of LDA? It seeks to find the directions along which the classes are best separated. It seeks to find directions along which the classes are best separated. Okay, it means that on the contrary, you will say that it increases the informations, class discriminatory informations. Okay, and also it takes into consideration the scatter. So here we will be using the term is called the scatter, means variability. Scatter means there is a variability, or you can say the variance. So now this scatter, two type of scatter. One is called the within class scatter, another is called the between class scatter. So your job is to, you'll have to maximize the between class scatter. Okay, more class separability between class scatter, and there is a within class scatter, and you'll have to minimize this within class scatter. So that is the job that you need to find out. Okay, so now we want to minimize. So now our target is that, so before going through this mathematical understanding, so we want to minimize the variability within a class. So that is called the inter-class scatter, and we want to increase the between class variability. That is between class scatter. So that is your job. So firstly, I'll be demonstrating you with the 2 class problem. Then it will be expanded for the C class problem. Okay, if you understood the concept of the 2 class problem, you can also do for the C class problem. But in the real life, so you'll have to do for the C class problem. Okay, so now in order to find a good projection vector, so you need to define a measure of separation between the projection. Okay, so please you keep in your mind that between class scatter, you have to maximize this between class variability and minimize this inter-class variability. Okay, so now whenever I'm telling the between class variability, means you have to consider the mean. So class separate, I mean there should be a significant mean difference between the classes. If you find a significant mean difference between these two classes, then there is a no overlapping region between these two classes. Okay, and within class scatter means, so there should not have any variability within this class. So within the class, whatever samples are there, so there should not have very much variations. Okay, it has to be clustered, or it has to be clustered within this class. So now here, how do you process? I mean, how do you proceed it? So now for the mean vector of each class in X and Y feature space is computed by mu I is 1 by ni. x is belongs to wi to x, and it is a mu hat. Okay, and because you have this one data is going to be projected to another. Suppose if you have x is having x1 x2 xn. Now you are applying PCA, it will have the y1 y2 yn. Okay, now whenever you are going to have the LDA, na, first you apply PCA, then LDA. Now you have a new dimensions or new feature space, that is y. So in this y feature space also you need to compute this mu. That's why the mu I hat is coming. For this, if you have the I is equal to 1 to C, if you have the C class, then this is mu hat is equal to 1 by n. Y is belong to wi, that is y. Okay, and this x and y are the samples. So x are samples for this original feature space. Y are samples for this transform feature space. Now this y can be written in the form of w transpose into x. Okay, there, as you can know. So we are just replacing y with this w transpose x. Now you just bring out w transpose from the summation. Then you'll what you are going to get 1 by ni into x. X belongs to wi into x. So it is nothing but a w transpose into mu I. Now it is just a rearrangement of the component. That's it. Now you could then choose the distance between, that is most important. As I already told you, you'll have to maximize the between class scattered. It means that you'll have to choose the distance between the projected means. Okay, because there should not be any overlapping between these two classes. Okay, so if you have means whenever you are going to apply PCA, LDA, you just do the scatter plot, and you are going to project all the data points into a lower dimensional space, and you just plot it. And if you see that if you follow that your data points are following a normal distributions for the temporary. Okay, now if you see there is no, there is a significant mean difference between these two regions. Okay, it means that the classes are well separated. So now then you could choose the, now how do you capture these well separated things? Because if you need to find the distance between the projected means, because you have data points in 2D, now you have to project it then for computing this projected means. So now in order to find the projected means, you have devised on objective functions. So this function is j of w, because ultimately you'll have to compute this w. Okay, so now it is an objective function, or you can say the criterion function j of w. It is just the mean difference. Okay, so mu1 minus mu2. As you are going to take the absolute value, so that's why we are taking this mode. So mu1 for the first class and mu2 for the second class, provided that you are following this, your data points are well distributed and it follows the Gaussian distribution. For the sake of illustrations that I am assuming, now mu1 it can be replaced with w transpose into mu1, so from the formula, and minus mu2 hat, or you can say the mu2 tilde. This is a tilde operator. Okay, in estimated, it is w transpose into mu2. Now it is nothing but a w transpose into mu1 minus mu2. As you can see that here, if you just plot it x1 and x2, so if you plot it now in this in that directions, like in the x1 direction, if you just project it, you will not have a very good separability. Okay, now if you just plot it into in this if you just plot it u1 u2 in the x2 directions, you will not have a very good separability. But if you plot it in this axis, you will have this larger mean difference. So your objective is to that find a larger mean difference. So now this is an ellipsoidal shape which is there for representing this class 1, and there's a blue one, it is an ellipsoidal shape for the class 2. And here also you can find out this mu1. Now if you just see mu1, you are going to project to the x1, and mu2 is project to the again x1. Now if you just consider one bell shape, now you will have the bell shape for this mu1 and the bell shape for the mu2. Then you have seen this following the Gaussian distribution. Now you can have the mean with somewhat in the one mean. This is a maximum point. Okay, but on the other hand, if you just project mu2 into x2, okay, I mean if you just project all the datas on, or you can simply have the mu2 on this x2 and mu1 into x2, and if you just plot it in the Gaussian distributions, then you find that there is an overlapping. So so this axis, if you plot it, project it into x2, so you will not have a very good separability. Okay, means component axis, that now your job is to, you have to maximizing the component axis for class separation. So now here that in these intuitions, so here we are developing a one intuitions. So now from this intuition, the distance between the projected mean is not a very good measures, because if you just project it into x2, so you'll not have a very good separability. So from this concept, you can understand that the distance between the projected means is not a very good measure, and it does not take into account the standard deviation within the classes. Okay, now here what we have to do to solve these things, so we'll be using this within class scatter. Now the solution which is proposed by Fisher, okay, whenever these things is appearing, so now you need to have some solution how to get rid from this problem. So in order to get rid from the problem, so this solution was proposed by Fisher. So which is to maximize this function, criterion function, which represent the difference between the means, and you have to normalize it by a measure. So means whatever mean difference that you have computed, you have to normalize it with the within class variability, or you can say this is a scatter. Okay. Now here what you have to do for each class, you have to define a scatter. So now this scatter is simply just a variance. So as I already told you that this scatter means it is a variance. Now for each class, you need to define this scatter. So what is the formula for it? Now as it is equivalent to variance, SI square is equal to y to y minus mu hat mu y tilde square. So now this SI measures the variability within the class wi after projecting it on the y space. So y is a new space. Now S1 square for first class, S2 square for the second class. So these are called the scatter or variance. This measures the variability within the classes. So now how do you capture the variability or within class variance? So sometimes in few books you can find there's a within class variance. You'll have to minimize this within class variance, or intra class variance, INTRA. Within class variance is equivalent to intra class variance or between class distance. So between class distance means inter class distance. So these are the two terms. So there is a trade-off between a within class variance and the between class distance. Now you have to optimize this. You have to choose this W in such a way. You have to find the W in such a way that this numerator, that is a between class scatter, will be which is a normalization factor, that is a within class scatter that has to minimize. That is its job. So this trade-off has to be checked, and this trade-off has to be manipulated. Estimated. So now this S1 square plus S2 square, it measures the variability within the two classes attained after projections. Then it is called the within class scatter of the projected sample. And now you can see it. Now if you just project it in this way, in the x2 directions, now you can have the Fisher linear discriminant ratio. Now this ratio is sometimes known as, this is a Fisher ratio. Okay, so that is a difference. This is a mean difference between these two classes, mu1 minus mu2 square divided by S1 square plus S2 square. So this is called the Fisher linear discriminant, is defined as the linear function W transpose X, which maximizes this criterion function. Okay, which is the your mu1 minus mu2 square divided by S1 square plus S2 square. So therefore, we will be looking for a projections where example from the same class are projected very close to each other. I mean these samples which belongs to this same class, so it will be whenever you are going to project it, so it will be very close to each other. At the same time, the projected means are far apart from the classes mean. So these are the things, so that is you need to take care of it. You means after you have to normalize it so that you will have the good separability concept. Now we'll see how do you compute it. Okay, first we'll tell you the mathematics, then we'll take one example. Okay, now in order to find this optimum projection vector, as I already told you, W star, you have to find out optimum projection vector. You need to express W uh, as an explicit function of W. Now you will define a measure of the scatter in a multivariate feature space X, which are include denoted by the scatter matrix. If you have the more than one variables, two variables, then obviously you will have these matrices. Okay, so that's why you will see the scatter matrices. So now scatter means if you have this only single variable, if you have this more than one variables, or if you have the n number of samples, then obviously you need to consider for the scatter matrices. So now this scatter matrices is denoted by SI. Okay, SI is equal to x minus mu1 into x minus mu y into x minus mu y transpose. So this is this formula for this between class within class scatter. Okay, and that is a x minus mu y into x minus mu y transpose, where xi actually is the covariance matrix of the class Wi, because as you are considering this entire data points or entire class. Okay, where this SI is a covariance matrix of class Wi, and SW is called the within class scatter matrix. So SW is equal to S1 plus S2. Okay, you have x minus mu1 into x minus mu1 transpose for the one class, then x minus mu2 into x minus mu2 transpose for the other class. Then you have to compute it within class scatter matrix. So now this scatter of the projection, this is very simple. Okay, so when you'll go through it, you will understand. So now this scatter of the projection y can then be expressed as a function of scatter matrix. Okay, now this only single scatter means single variable that we are going to compute in the scatter matrices. So now in the SI square, so you have already computed this SI square is equal to y minus mu y square. So now we are going to write it. SI square is equal to y minus mu y square. So y is nothing but W transpose x, and mu y is W transpose into mu y square. Now if you just compute it, so you can write it in this way. This is a W transpose x minus mu y into x minus mu y transpose into W. So this is the way you can write it, and this is nothing but a W transpose SI into W. So you have already seen this type of problem for the positive definite matrix. Okay, that is small A transpose capital A small a. So you can write it in this way. So now we are just writing it. This is a W transpose SI into W, that you can means write it. Next is S1 square plus S2 square. That is a W transpose S1 W, as SI is equal to W transpose SI W. Okay, so this is the way that you have to write it. Okay, in this form, and S1 square W transpose S1 W, and S2 means W transpose S2 W. Now you take out the common term W transpose, then you have S1 plus S2 into W. Now S1 plus S2 that you have already computed as it is a SW. So now you have W transpose SW into W. So that is nothing but it is a SW hat. So now this SW is the within class scatter matrix of the projected sample Y. Okay. Similarly, the difference between the projected means in Y space, it can be expressed in terms of the means in the original feature space. Now, so now your original feature space is mu1 minus mu2 square. So you have already seen here mu1 minus mu2 square. Okay. So now here we are going to have mu1 minus mu2 square, which is a W W transpose mu1 minus W transpose mu2 square for the two class. Now for you take out the W transpose, then mu1 minus mu2 into mu1 minus mu2 transpose. It is an SB, and it is a W transpose SW SB into uh, uh, W transpose SBW, which is nothing but a SW tilde. It means that the matrix SW is called the between class scatter. You have these two within class scatter matrix, and you have the between class scatter. So that is the things. Okay, and this scatter matrix of the projected data Y. So actually this scatter matrix that you are going to form of the projected data. So what is your projected data? Your actual data is X. Whenever you are going to project it, you have Y. Are the SB tilde. So SB tilde for the between class scatter, and SW tilde. So it is a between class scatter, within class scatter. Now LDA will seek projections. So LDA seeks projections that maximizes the between class scatter and minimizes the within class scatter. So you have to maximize maximum of, so your numerator will be SB tilde and your denominator will be SW tilde. Okay, so SB is nothing but a W transpose SBW divided by W transpose SWW. So now this matrix is called the between class scatter of the original samples of feature vector, and SW tilde is the between class scatter of the projected sample. Since SW is the outer product of the two vector, then its rank is at most 1. So now your objective is that what is your main name? Main name, you will have to find a W in such a way these things will be optimized. So now you can finally express the Fisher criterion function in terms of the SW and SB. So now your JW, the objective function, can be written by W transpose SW SBW and W transpose SW into W. Now your JW is a measure of this difference between the class means. Okay, class means this is encoded in the between class scatter matrix, which is normalized by the measure of within class scatter matrix. Okay, so it is called the intra-class variance and inter-class distance. So upper one, I mean this numerator is called the inter-class distance, and in the denominator is called the intra-class variance. So please remember, one is called the distance between the mean and another is called the variance, okay, within this class. So how do you do it? You have to find the maximize this JW. Now the same process. Okay, so yeah, you'll have to differentiate del W to JW. So these terms will be 0. Then you have to dividing it. Then finally, whenever you are going to do it, so you are going to have that this expression, that SW inverse SBW minus you have the JWW is equal to 0. So finally you will have to end up with this thing. Okay, I'm skipping it, you can see it. Now you'll have to, you have to solve the generalized eigenvalue problem. So your objective is to find this dimensionality reduction, or you have to find the reduction in such a way. Also in the simultaneously you'll have to take care of it class separability. Now you have to solve the generalized eigenvalue problem. So now this is the from these expressions you could have SW inverse SBW is equal to lambda into W. Okay, where lambda is equal to JW, that is scalar. So from these things that we are going to establish it. Okay, from where? So now it yields that your W star. So now you have to find the W stars. So that is the argmax W. So you have to find the objective functions on the based on the W, so that this function will be maximized. Okay, now argmax into W transpose SBW divided by W transpose SWW, which is nothing but a SW inverse mu1 minus mu2. So this is known as a Fisher linear discriminant. Okay, although it is not a discriminant, so rather you need to find a directions where the projections will be done into one dimension. So using the same notation as PCA. So now if you apply the PCA also now, the solution will be given the eigenvector problem, that is a Sx is equal to SW inverse into SW. So now these are the process that you have to follow. So now we'll see one example so that it will be more clear to all of you. Now you have to compute this linear discriminant projections for the following two dimensional dataset. Suppose you have samples for class W1, that is x1. Yeah, you have these two features x1 and x2, that is 4,2. It is one set. I mean you have total 1 2 3 4 5. So I mean 5 data points are there in from class 1, and for class 2 you have this 4 data points. Okay, so you just plot it. Now as you can see, how do you plot it? Because there is a MATLAB code is there, x1 x2 you have written. Now your first job, you have to find this classes mean. So you have to find the class mean. So now how do you find it? So if you just simply using the mean of x1 and mean of x2, so you have the class means. Okay, so mu1 is equal to 1 by n1. So you apply this formula x to w1, because x samples are coming from the class 1 and another samples are coming from the class 2. So now it is 1 by n1 summation of x belongs to w1 x. You just simply doing as you can have, where it is n is equal to 5, you have the 5 samples, so 1 by n. Then you have to have, you have this 2D na, so you have this 3.8, and you have the mu2 is equal to this thing, in this way that you have to compute. Okay, so the way that it is written, okay, as it is a 2D data, so you have to weigh in this way. X means and this y means that you have to compute separately. So now covariance matrix. Next is a covariance matrix for the first class. You have to compute it. So now how do you compute it? Because the formula is, that is a x is belongs to w1, x minus mu1, as I already told you, x minus mu1. So mu1 into x minus mu1 into transpose. So now you just apply it. So you have computed x. So you have how many samples? 5 samples. So now x minus mu1 square, then you have sum them up, then this covariance matrix you will have, because it is a 2 cross 2 matrix, because as you have this only 2-dimensional data, so obviously you have the covariance matrix will be 2 cross 2. So if you simply have this COV of x1, so you'll also end up with this thing. Okay, now similarly for S2, you apply this formula, x minus mu2 into x minus mu2 transpose, in this way that you can compute it. Okay. Next is within class scatter matrix. So what is the formula? SW is equal to that is summation of I is equal to 1 to C SI. Okay, so as you are going to have these two class, so SW is equal to S1 plus S2. Now S1 that you have already computed, and this is 1 minus 0.25 minus 0.25 2.2, and S2 2.3 minus 0.05 minus 0.05 3.3. Now you just sum them up. So it is a matrix addition, as the dimensions are same, so there is no problem. Okay, so now you can add these row wise, or you can add this in the column wise. So it is a within class scatter matrix. Similarly for the between class scatter, what is the formula for the between class scatter? You have simply SB is equal to mu1 minus mu2 into mu1 minus mu2 transpose. So this is the formula for the between class scatter. SW is equal to mu1 minus mu2 into mu1 minus mu2 transpose. So it is just a mean difference. So actually here this is square term is not, because you know it is a mu1 minus mu2 square, but here it is square term is not there. So that we are going to use this transpose. That's it. So now 3.8. So mu1 mu2 you have already computed, as you can see in the last mu1 mu2 आपने compute किया 3.8 and 8.4 into 7.6. So you just write it. Okay, this is a, it is a that's a 2 you can have 2 cross 2. Okay. So there is a P2 class scatter matrix you will have. This is a 2 cross 1 into 1 cross 2. You will have the 2 cross 2. So you have computed within class scatter. So by S1 plus S2, and how the S1 is computed, that you have already know, it is in covariance matrix. And now between class scatter formula hai u1 mu1 minus mu2. You simply have only, you just look at this JW. So JW is equal to mu1 minus mu2 square divided by is your S1 square plus S2 square. So this formula that you will have to apply, that's it. Now you have to find out the lambda 1 and lambda 2, because so you need to also find that directions where you have the maximum class separability. You have lambda 1 directions where you can have one class separability. You have the lambda 2, there is a the one dimension where you can have the class separability. Now LDA has the LDA projection is then obtained as a solution of the eigenvalue generalized eigenvalue problem. So how it is coming, that we have already seen. You have to differentiate these functions, that is a g of w star. Okay, you have to find the w star, or you have to find the w in such a way so that this function must be optimized. So now SW inverse SW is SW inverse SBW is equal to lambda W. Now the same way that you have A minus lambda is equal to 0, you have to have the determinant A minus lambda is equal to 0. Okay, so this thing, everything you have to represent it in an eigenvalue problem. Now you have to do the eigen decomposition. So now the same way you have to take the determinant of these things. Okay, and you have to follow it. Then we are going to end up with this lambda is equal to 0, and you have this lambda 1 is equal to 0 and lambda t is equal to 12.2007. Okay, so now you have found out. So now, so computing the LDF projection, so you can simply have the inverse. So in exam, I mean in practical also in your lab, so if you can simply use it like the inverse INV function, you can also use it. So now hence these things, you have the W1 and W2. Okay, and then also you have W2 is equal to that 12.0 into W1. So thus you have W1 is equal to this expression that you are going to get, and W2 is equal to, so now this expression, as this lambda 2 is larger than the lambda 1, so obviously this W star, so now W star is an optimum value. So whenever star is there, so it is called the optimum value, and there's a argmax of W for the JW. So we have optimized it for on which values of W, so that this function is going to be optimized. So now the W2 is equal to 0.9008 and 0.413. Now the optimal projection is the one which gives the maximum lambda. So on for which lambda this function is going to optimize. So for lambda is equal to 12.2007. So this function is optimized with the value of W2 is these things. Okay, now the way that it is written, so you can also write this sample code. There's a getting the projection vector, and the projection vector is W is equal to V1. Now, or you can have directly how it is coming 0.9088 and 0.4173, how it is coming. So it is just nothing but a W transpose is equal to SW inverse mu1 minus mu2. So you can also directly apply it. Okay, so the formula that we have already established in the previous slide. So SW inverse into mu1 minus mu2. So you have already found the SW, and you have the mu1 and this mu2, then you will end up with this thing. Only, I mean, for each values W2 you will have these things. Okay, so now you have to project it. Now so you have that the projection vector corresponding to the smallest eigenvalue. So now this, if you have the smallest eigenvalue, so it is lambda 1 is equal to 0. So now, so you cannot have a very good separability. So using this vector, it leads to the bad separability between the two classes. Okay, as you can see, you can have the overlapping things, providing that your data is following the normal distributions. But if you have this thing, this is the projection vector, the corresponding, I mean, you'll have to find the dimension in where you can, if you just project it, it is just nothing but you have to project all the data, and if you compute this mean, so this way. Okay, actually the green line that you are showing now, so if you just project all the red points and the green points, then you will have this image. I mean, this is this graph. Okay, this is from the 2D to 1D. So the projection vector, it is a projection vector corresponding to the highest eigenvalues. Okay, and obviously using this vector, it leads to the good separability between these two classes. So there's a blue classes and these red classes, so it will be there's a good separation is there, and it is better than this previous one. So, okay, so these are the things that is to be done for this is a two class classification problem, so it is very interesting example. You'll have to do it. Okay, and the formula is already there, so you just simply apply the formula, and I think you have understood the concept that what is the significant difference from PC and LDA. Okay, and how whenever you are going to apply LD, you'll have to first apply the PCA, then you have to apply this LDA. So this two class problem can be extended for the C class problem. Okay, so if you understood the concept of this two class, so if you have the two class C class problem, so now for now this you have to seeking for the C-1 projection vector. Okay, so as I already told you, because that many hyperplane that you will have C-1 hyperplane. Okay, by means of this thing, so Wi can be arranged by the column vector, because you are going, if you have going to have the one very flat matrix W. Okay, if you just add on or just append all the points or all the samples from the different classes, and you are going to have one fat matrix, so where each column represents one sample. So now this Wi can be arranged by columns into a projection vector W, where you have the W1 W2 in WC1. Now this W transpose X, it will have you can write in this way. So this dimension is m into C-1, as you maximum you can have the C-1 projection. So now if you have the n feature vector, so you can write it in this way. So yeah, I think you will be able to understand for this C class also. So there is no problem. So only this formula is important. Okay, so it is in terms of the matrix you have to compute it. Okay, and if you have C classes, then you just recall the two class cases where the within class scatter was computed. SW is equal to S1 plus S2 tha. Now this can be generalized in the C classes, that is SW is equal to I is equal to 1 to C SI. If you have C class, you have the S1 plus S2 plus S3 plus SC. This is within class scatter. Where what is SI? Now the covariance matrix for the two class, we have computed X minus mu1 into X minus mu1 transpose. But here, if you have the C class, your covariance matrix will be where X is a belongs to Wi, that is X minus mu I into X minus mu I transpose, where mu I is equal to 1 by Ni into X. So Ni is the number of data samples in class W. This is very simple. Only you have to extend it. Only just notation is changed. Only you will have to just change for the ith class. Okay, for all this computation that you will have to do. And next is that the between class scatter. So now the between class scatter for the two class that we have already seen is SV is equal to mu1 minus mu2 into mu1 minus mu2 transpose. Okay, so now for the C class, so you'll have to measure the between class scatter with respect to the mean of all classes. So now what is the formula? SB is equal to I is equal to 1 to C capital Ni into mu1 minus mu into mu1 minus mu transpose, where mu is equal to 1 by n. Okay, for all x, then you have 1 by n it is a n is a number of all data points, so that's why it is coming, and this is a ni into mu I, and where the mu I is equal to 1 by ni, that is x belongs to wi into x, where ni is the number of data samples in class wi. Okay, so only these things is there, so you have to consider this capital Ni, where this n is the number of samples, data samples from the wi classes. That's it. Next, you can define the same process. Okay, you can define this mean vector for the projected samples of y, which is a ui is equal to 1 by n. It is a y is a belong to wi, summation of y, or mu hat is equal to 1 by n for all I into y. Now for the scatter matrix, now you have to compute the within class scatter and the between class scatter. Now this for the scatter matrix of the projected samples, okay, it will be SW tilde is equal to I is equal to 1 to C S SI, that is which is nothing but I is equal to 1 to C, okay, because this in the outer summation is coming for all the classes, okay, but an inner summation is for this is y minus mu I into y minus mu I transpose, the way that we have done, and SW is equal to I is equal to 1 to C Ni into mu I minus mu into mu I minus mu transpose. That's it. Now for if you just recall the two class, you have expressed the scatter matrix of the projected samples, that SW is equal to W transpose SW W and SB W transpose SB into W. So this will still hold for this C class because here W is a fan matrix. Now you will have to so you are looking for the projection that maximizes the ratio of between class scatter and within class scatter. Okay, and this projection is no longer a scalar, as it has a c minus 1 dimensions. Okay, it is a not scalar. Then we have to use the determinant of the scalar matrix. Okay, now you have to take the determinant. Okay, now if it is not a scalar, then you have to, if you have this c minus 1 dimension, then you have to use the determinant of the scalar matrix. That is to obtain the scalar objective function. That is a determinant of SB tilde by determinant of SW. Or you can simply have the max of you have to maximize this SW by these things, or you have to maximize this ratio. So that is called the W star. It is a W transpose SBW and W transpose SW into W. So these are called the determinants. So please remember. So whenever you are going to do in this C minus 1 dimension, so this objective function that is to be considered is for the scalar. I mean for the matrices. Now you have to use the determinant. So now to find this maximum, you same process you have to differentiate with respect to W, and you recall the two class we have already seen SW inverse SW to this thing scalar, but for the C class you have the C minus 1 projection vector. Since the eigenvalue problem can be generalized for this C class, you have to write Wi into lambda I, okay, in this way. Now it can be shown as optimal projection vector W star, okay, is the one whose columns are the eigenvectors. It corresponding because each column will be treated as a eigenvectors corresponding to largest eigenvalue. Okay, by this same following generalized rule, SW inverse SB W star is equal to lambda into W star, where lambda is equal to JW star scalar, where this lambda W star is equal to W1 star for class 1, W2 star for class 2, WC minus 1 star for the class C. So now these things, so let's generate a data set for each class to simulate the three classes. Suppose you have to use the random number generator to generate uniform stream of data 500 samples. Then you use the method of eigenvalue eigenvector to manipulate the standard normal and to have required mean vector and covariance vector. You can easily compute it. You have to estimate the mean and covariance vector for the resultant data set, I mean the projected values. Okay, So now this by the visual inspections, you have this mean and covariance matrix. Okay, then you can compute it for these two different classes. Okay, so there's a
Hello, sir.
MATLAB code is there,
Hello,
so you can.
sir.
Yes,
Sir, when you say projected y values, exactly what do you mean there?
projected y value.
Y
Okay,
values. Yes, sir.
yes. So projected y values. So just a minute, I'll share. Yes, you have one transformation. Okay, y is equal to w transpose into x. After doing the transformations, x multiply with x, you will have this another values, because from this, suppose you have this capital N dimension of feature vector. After doing PCA or after doing some transformation, you are going to have this m dimensional feature vector where m is less than of capital M is less than of n, very less than of n. So these features is, I mean, this is called the projected y value. You have a 2D data, or I'll tell you in this way, x1 and x2. Okay, so these red and blue points are there. Now whenever you're going to project it, you're going to have the 1D data. So 1D data is y.
Okay, sir, got it.
Got it? From the
Yes,
2D data, you are going to have the 1D data. From the 3D data, you are going to have the 2D data. So one dimension is going to be reduced. Now in the reduced dimension, you'll have some values, feature values, that is denoted by W.
okay.
Okay. So this is very simple. I mean, not like that you'll have very complex things. Only uh, you need to do some practice. So the basic intuition you need to understand, and what is the significant difference between PC and LDA. So that you need to understand. That is most important. Okay. So it is also the
Hello,
same
sir.
thing as the PC. Yes.
Sir, in the this first LD like analysis, sir, we
Uh,
are calculating all mu1 tilt and mu2 tilt and all those S1 and S2 tilts on the projected Y values, right?
yes. Yes.
But sir, in the example you given for the LDA, those X1 and X2, I think you calculated in the X1 and X2 values, not Y values. Sir, could you show us where did you consider the projected Y values, not the given X1 and X2s?
In the example.
Yes, sir. The first example you showed us for the LDA.
Okay. 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 Wait. This example that you are telling.
Yes, sir.
So this is your actual data.
Right, sir.
Oh, so th- this is your actual data. Okay, very good question. So now this is your actual data. Okay, so this data is going to be project in that dimensions. I mean, in that line. That is a green line. So from where it is coming? After doing the transformation, what transformations? W, you have to find the value of W. You have to project this
Yes,
data.
sir.
So the projections means you'll have to find this perpendicular distance from this point to this point, from this point to this line, from this for you just take the perpendicular distance from each point to that line. So from where it is coming? If you see the graph, So this pointer there in the 2D, but if you just project it, it is in 1D. And if you see the 1D data, you see that this is a red points are very clustered in one cluster, so you can easily have one good shape of this data point. You have fitted these data points with some good distribution. So similarly for the blue point also, and it is coming from after doing these things, computing this lambda1 and lambda2. This W. So now your main objective is y is equal to W transpose in. What is the value of means this transformation, this y is for W transpose into X. So this is the main formula. Y is equal to W transpose into X. So until or unless you find out this exact value of W, optimum value, so you cannot project it. So your job is to find a optimal value of W for which the projections will be done into a lower dimensional space, keeping in mind it will preserve the maximum class discriminating informations. So this W जो आपको मिल रहा है ना, these things, it is multiplied with this original X for each data
Okay,
point.
sir. Then the green line is the y, right? The projected x values, right?
Projected, it is a green line that you are seeing. No, actually green line, it is a directions. It is a vector. Because in PCA, so you also finding out the direction with maximum variance. In LD also we are going to have the direction with maximum variance. But it as well as it keeping this class discriminating ability. So in the green line, so you can find a green line. So green line, it is an eigenvector. So in the eigenvector means corresponding to which value? Eigenvalues?
Maximum variances, sir.
Yes. And then you have to project it. So now whenever you just multiply it with the W to the X, because in the X you have the different sort of values, then you have these dimensional values. It is just a perpendicular distance from these to this. Okay. So that is why you are here to compute this W star. Okay. So this W that
Yes.
you have already computed. Okay. Now this is the directions. Okay. I mean this is the eigenvector. So actually it is an eigenvector. So W means it is an eigenvector. Okay. Eigenvector means it is a direction. Vector means yeah. Vector means you have a direction with some magnitude value. How do you define a vector? A vector can be defined. It will have a directions with some magnitude value. So magnitude value is the eigenvalue. And this is a vector.
Yes.
It is having some sort of direction in X and Y direction. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
I'll give it to the one assignment. Tomorrow you have a lab, and in the lab I'll give it to the assignment first in PCA on the satellite images. You have to solve it. Okay. And also I'll share the PPT now after this class. Then next class you have to implement face recognition problem using PC and LDA. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.